When you play just a single note, you have only one sound. But if I put another notes, one after another, even in a different order, but trying to address a musical sense, we have what in music we call melody. And it is okay if you only have the melody. For example, when you sing Happy Birthday at the party, you only have the melody, but still everyone understands it. But what if I take those same notes I played before as melodies and play them all together? When I did this, my result is something called chord, which by definition is a combination of 3 or more notes. And this chord, my friends, are an important tool that harmony needs to start working. I can even combine both things, chords plus melodies. Let's see again an example with Happy Birthday. Usually, when we sing on the melody, which sounds like this. But if I add to this melody chords, the song will sound more filled and beautiful. And this happens because two main things. First, the melody now is supported by chords. Second, the chords are creating movement in the song. It's almost if the song starts to walk and take you from one point to another. And this is the most important job of harmony. Work together with other elements and give you sensations. This is called functional harmony, which means each chord in your song has a role, a job to do. And this sensation will give to you the feeling of tension and then resolution. To be more clear, let's hear again Happy Birthday, but this time only with the chords. We start totally relaxed, then create a movement to have tension, and this tension turns relaxed again, having resolution. To make this concept of sensation easier to visualize, let's use now an analogy here with a basketball game. Everyone knows that the goal in basketball game is to score, right? But going beyond that, what you really want is the sensation of celebrating when your team wins, watching the game with friends, winning the championship, and so on. And how is possible you feel that? Through the team players, where everyone is assigned a function by the coach to make victory become reality. Okay, but let's compare this with music. Scoring, winning the championships like the musical sensation. What you want to transmit with it? Your goal. The players are the melody and chords, everyone with their function to make the game work. And everything is commanded by the coach, which in music represents the key, rhythm, and style. And with everyone fulfilling their roles and functions, we would have harmony. And by the way, if you're looking for a piano course, I'll leave the link of my course in the description below. And now you're probably wondering, okay, nice, but how do I know the function of the chords? Answering that, we'll have 3 main functions. First one is tonic. I'll talk more about it in a sec. Second, subdominant. Third, dominant. And let's make an analogy here first to make it easy to understand this function. Imagine you are going to a road trip. Your journey has 3 key places: your home, rest stop, and your destination. You start this trip at home, the place you feel comfortable, relaxed, and familiar with. And when you have the same feeling music, the sound you've already heard, you call this function the tonic. Now your trip gets started, but you are in no rush and decide to stop somewhere. That gives you an option to continue to your destination after just stretch your legs, or take a break and enjoy another point to middle of the trip. You choose. And when you have this feeling of exploration, transition, moving away from home, but it isn't not too far yet, it's called subdominant. subdominant. Finally, you've arrived at your destination. But after a while, you are feeling the tension to go back home, to feel comfortable, relaxed in a familiar place again. And this feeling of tension, the sense that something's going to happen, is created by the dominant chord. Let's hear now all the chords in sequence with chords as an example. Starting relaxed, rest stop, the halfway, totally away, and relaxed again. Now that you already know the functions, let's find out how to assign these functions to chords and then apply them to songs. First, I'll simply take the 7 musical notes and put them in order. By the way, when I do that, I have what we call a scale. In this case, C major scale. And this scale, my friends, will be our foundation to build chords, which means every single note of this scale will be turned into a chord, with 2 or more notes playing together. To do that, I'll use a system called stack of thirds. That means you take the note that's already on the scale, count 3 more notes, and then you have the second note. And then just repeat the process for all other notes. Here, it's how it sounds. Now, I'll do this process one more time to have another row, since we're looking for chords with 3 notes. We can continue doing this and have chords with 4 or more notes, but let's stop here to avoid confusion. Now, let's listen to how these 3 notes chords will sound. Now, my friends, since our chords were born, they need names to make them easier to call. Like a person, they receive a first and last name. The first name is the note at the bottom of the stack, also known as root. And for the last name, the color of the chord, we use this formula that works for every major scale. The first one always will be major. That means it will be called C major chord. Second is our minor, with the full name being D minor. Third is always minor, called E minor. Fourth and fifth, the last name is major, F major and G major. The sixth is minor, called A minor. Last one, the seventh, is different, receiving the last name diminished. It's called B diminished. Now you have built all the chords using this scale as a foundation. Give them first and last names. And our next move is to get to know the functions, the job of these chords. And we get 3. First one is called tonic. Recalling our analogy early in this video, it's our home, our comfortable place. We'll find this one on the first chord. The second function is called subdominant. And recalling our analogy, it's our halfway, our rest stop, and you find this on the 4th chord. The third and the last function is the dominant. That stands for destination that gives us the sensation of tension. It's found on the 5th chord. Let's listen now how these 3 chords will sound together. And the other chords also receive the same functions. The main difference between the first tier and the second tier chords lies into the strength of their functions. Depending on the context, the functional role of each chord becomes more or less noticeable. So the third and sixth receive the functional of tonic, the second chord also receives the subdominant function, and the seventh is dominant. Let's hear now all the chords with their functions. First, all tonics. Second, all subdominants. Third, all dominants. Let's see now these harmony functions in practicing famous songs. First example, So Lonely by The Police.
Well, someone told me yesterday that when you show your love away, you act as if you just don't care. You look as if you're going somewhere.
Second, Beethoven, Ode to Joy. Third, Let It Be by the Beatles. Another cool thing to do is when you change the chords in a song, but keeping the function. This process is called reharmonization, and you can do this at different levels, but the first step is replacing the original chords with new ones that have the same function. For example, in the song So Lonely, we have the original chord progression: C major, G major, A minor, and F major. And these are the functions: tonic, dominant, tonic again, and subdominant. Now let's substitute the chords by keeping the same function. C, it's replaced by A minor, G, it's turning to a G over B to keep the same melody, A minor becomes C, F becomes D minor. And you can go beyond that by adding new chords, changing the melody, and so much more. The purpose of this example is just to help you to get the idea. Another important thing, all the examples you've seen in this video are in the key of C major to make them easier to understand, but all these rules can be applied into all other keys. Now let's listen to how the song So Lonely sounds with the reharmonization.
Well, someone told me yesterday that when you show your love away, you act as if you just don't care. You look as if you're going somewhere.
The next step is to learn the important fundamentals of music theory. For that, just click on this video up here. So, thank you for watching and I see you in the next tutorial.